I had an abusive father. This was the first line of the novel, followed quickly by, I know I'm not alone in that. But I had no intention to write a misery memoir or a victim story or speak for others who had similar fathers with similar results. And it was a novel that had taken a lifetime to write. Its opening scene, powerful and arresting and rooted in real events I had actually experienced, that felt at the time as if I were watching myself in a movie. I had fictionalized key elements, but the final line, spoken as the narrator left the room, was preserved exactly as I'd said it. Goodbye, Dad. Was the novel an exorcism? An examination? An evacuation of feelings that had been unexpressed so long they had begun to warp into self-sabotage, damaging the very real chance I had of happiness. If I could just get through this. I tried to tell the story numerous times in various formats, but had been unable to settle on a tone. I had written it as a one-man stage play, but my attempts at jokes and humor didn't work for me. How could I make light of a relationship that had been so difficult, so wounding? I wrote it as a sitcom. With my father, the archetypal monster character we were meant to laugh at from the safety of distance, yet maybe ultimately empathize with. But I couldn't make myself award his character the necessary redeeming features. I refused to let my father off the hook. This is how abusers operate. They create doubt, confusion. They separate you for what you really feel. You survive by downplaying it all, by playing a role, telling yourself whatever fucking awful thing they did or said wasn't that bad really. Forever making up your own explanations or excuse. And there are so many awful things done and said, but the abuse is not constant. It operates in a cycle, a constantly turning wheel you are forced to train yourself to observe and anticipate. You are hypervigilant, walking on eggshells, constantly on edge, because despite your best efforts, you are sometimes caught off guard. The abuser can just explode without warning, like the flick of a switch, as if they're almost two people. The father you love and the father you are terrified of as a kid, a terror that morphs as you get older, bigger, stronger into a position of despising the man, counting the days until you are old enough to leave and get as far away from him as possible. All of this is fine in theory, but being forced as a kid to live with an abusive father creates issues. For you, he himself was fine. He wasn't wounded. He was allowed to behave with impunity, exactly as he liked, and so many psychological obstacles appeared every time I attempted the novel. Was it really as bad as I remembered? I had been trained by both parents to freeze, fawn, and appease my father's every outburst. Any attempt to challenge him, and I made many attempts, was shouted down. Fighting back, speaking back, expressing any anger only ever made the punishment that followed more punitive. And what right did you have to feel angry? I was a kid trapped in a house. His anger was dominant, more important, and always my fault. And as I began finally to tell this story, I reconciled myself to this approach. I would not impose restrictions or follow a preconceived plan. The novel, of course, needed a structure, but I would impose no rules. Seeking to establish order is the domain of the authoritarian my father was. You can't say this, you can't go there, you can't do that. Authoritarian tyrants seek to set the narrative to control the story. I would tell the story in whatever form or tone it wanted to be expressed in that moment, chapter by chapter, page by page. I would let emotion guide me and expected the tone to vary. I had so many different conflicting feelings about him. How could I not? The novel was demanding expression, and writing it would unfreeze all the feelings I had to my detriment numbed and suppressed for too long. So, if there were dark thoughts, I would express them. If I wanted to satirize, mock and laugh at my father, or fictionalize events to the point they became absurd, I would go with it. If writing the novel brought me to tears, I would let the emotion move through me and in doing so find its way out. If it left me helpless on the floor of my office, laughing hysterically at the scenes conjured by my imagination, I would live every second. So, if you should see me around, don't worry about me. I don't need anyone to care. I don't need a bro hug or a high five, and I won't be a poster boy for anyone's organization or issue. I have learned beyond any doubt I can rely on myself.